We're still just waiting for that whistle. Thank you, Lisa. What a good-looking, great group. I'm so excited that you're all here for today's meeting. Let's start with our on-time trivia.
Let's go.
Who knows what the subject is?
Not me.
Listing.
The Repsy.
Oh,
We'll see.
Okay. The Repsy. There is the Repsy this month. So in what section of the Repsy would you find the sentence, time is of the essence regarding the date set forth in the Repsy?
25.
23.
26.
Just like last week. 1, 2, 3.
I bet it at the beginning. And we're all
22. Who said 21?
Yeah.
She is writing a contract right now.
Now you got some lunch too, so, let's do some, did we do our, we haven't met our, if you're a new agent. Yeah, if you're a new agent or a visitor, would you stand and introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Addie. I'm here with Shay, and I'm looking to get into the business of real estate.
That should do it for you, right?
Hi, I'm Glenn. I've been in Salt Lake for 3 years now and been selling and buying homes, flipping homes for the last 20 years. And I'm thinking about making it a little less physical on my body. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm Alex, new here as well. I'm working with Casey and the Stern team.
Yeah.
Welcome, Alex. Did I get everybody? No, all right. Let's do a little bucket filling. This is where we share gratitude. Who's got some? Rachel.
I'd love to start. This morning, I sent a Slack to Lynette and asked her if she had a tracker for a certain thing. And it was something that we had mentioned maybe almost like a little over a year ago. I remember it mentioned it in passing that it'd be nice to have a tracker for this thing, and I never thought about it again until this morning. And I asked her if she had it, and of course she did, because she follows through on everything. And she has been with us for a little over a year and has made my life so much better. She has made the agents' lives so much better because of the way she just gets things done, just takes care of it. If she says it's gonna be done, it is. And Lynette, I'm so grateful for you and the impact you have had on our market center. So thank you.
I'll kind of follow that up. I hope I'm not telling any secrets. As a leadership team, the other day, we kind of took some lumps. I think that's a fair assessment. We kind of got our butts handed to us a little bit. And the thing that I'm most grateful about is that instead of turning on each other, instead of having it devolve, this team, this leadership group that serves you as the agent body that I am so freaking lucky to be a part of, came together and said, okay, let's fix it. Let's change this. And the energy behind that. We talk about who you're in business with matters. And I am so honored to be in business with you folks. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just need to thank Chris McGee. He's not here today. I don't know if he's on Zoom or not, but he just covers open houses when we need them often, and I appreciate his volunteers. He's a great job. He picked up another client. It was only one through, but he just.
That's great. He's always working, that guy. Okay.
I just want to express gratitude to my team. Sebastian's been restoring my sanity. And Elliot brings tons of energy and strategy, just always.
Who, this guy?
Yeah. Especially on weekends and filming, listings, showing things, so thank you. I just am so lucky that you're saying counts for your business.
Amen to that. Thank you, Erica. Hannah, do you need a chair? I see you, Liz. Come on.
Is Liza Birch in here? Yes, hey.
She's always on the pole.
I just want to give a shout out to her. She is not only a phenomenal real estate agent, but she's a great life coach, and she helped me not lose my mind before I left my baby for the first time. Look, I'm back and everybody lived and it's fine.
You may not want to take my parents in your butt.
I find it.
Included, everyone drops their kid on their head list.
Yeah, everybody does. Don't worry. They're very good. So and then also thank you to Emily Kershaw, who I don't think is here. Thank you to her. She helped me out with my business while I was gone.
Oh, I love that. All right, anyone else? Spencer? And then
We don't see her very often anymore because she kind of moved to St. George, but Lisa Edgington, spends her time in between here in St. George. She's a complete rock star. Luckily was able to open a door for a client yesterday and we just got another contract, so.
That's great. Down in St. George? That's awesome. Pass that on. Risa?
I don't know if this is gratitude, but it's for those of
We'll tell you.
for those of you who knew Kobe Wilson, he used to be on the Stern team. He had a baby or his wife had a baby and they moved to San Francisco. He's now with Keller Williams out there and he's a productivity coach. So if you have any clients, please send them to him. And if you're going to family reunion, he's gonna be there.
Oh, that's great.
Isn't that cool?
Thank you. Thanks for letting us know.
Great.
He's a great guy. Phoenix.
I have a couple. I want to thank JP for an awesome referral up in Idaho. I want to thank Carrie for just bringing all of her great energy here. I absolutely love seeing her here in the office, as well as Kimber, who has helped me a ton with my business. And I know she's just putting a ton of work into like making sure that we're all very successful, and I really appreciate it. So, yeah.
Thank you, ladies. All right.
Can I just give a shout out and say, I think it's awesome how many teams are growing in the office.
Yeah.
You're building teams.
And I just want to say thank you to the ALC. We have such a great ALC this year. They're working hard and I just want to express my gratitude to them. All right, it's time for our cultural icon. I hope everyone was nice to Rachel this week. I know I was.
Everybody's always so nice to me. Speaking of the ALC, I was thinking about who to give this to today. And not just one person, two people came to mind. One of them is on the ALC and has been for the last several years, in addition to growing a fantastic business. And the way they show up in the office, when I look at our belief system, it's back there on the wall. There's one missing, but we're gonna get it fixed soon. But when I look at our belief system and the values that we as an organization say that we hold, these two people embody this. The integrity especially, and the way that they take care of their customers and their clients, and not just that, but they take care of the whole office because they're on the ALC and they have committed their time to help us grow and to help the leadership team execute all the plans that we have that are for your benefit every year, the events and the fundraising that we do for your charity and growth and technology and all kinds of things. So this is going to Rick and Marita together. So be able to do what we do without both of you. So
You're piggyback.
Yeah, right.
They live in the same house, so it's convenient.
This is all her. This has nothing to do with me.
nonsense.
Congratulations. All right, Dad.
It seems like it's like the White House meeting.
Anything's possible, Dave.
Always, thank you, thank you. Okay, since I'm older than dirt, with the possible exception of no, not that, 20 years. That's not what I meant. No, what I meant, for the past 20 years, I've been doing a real estate essentials course down at the board. And if you've been in the business for the last 20 years, you were forced to sit into my meeting. And in part of that meeting, I'm talking about, I'll watch your back, please watch mine. And when I say that, you know, I always preface it with buyers are liars and sellers don't
Tell the truth.
tell the truth, okay? And so we need to watch out as realtors for each other's back. If you're doing an open house, hi, are you working with a real estate agent? They say, no, we're not. Couldn't help but notice you got 15 pages of MLS printouts. Who gave them to you? You know, I mean, constantly doing something like that. Watch out and avoid those issues that are going to be coming. And we had a situation this week where we had a buyer go rogue. And I had the opportunity, anybody in here done business with Toll Brothers?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Toll Brothers actually had absolutely no reason to even talk to us because their rules were not followed. It says, you know, as with a lot of builders, your buyer has to be accompanied by you on your first initial visit, yada, yada, yada. And one of our agents actually had a buyer that admittedly said, well, you know, I'm a strong, and I just wanted to make this call and stop by, and it kind of messed up this whole thing. They really didn't have any reason to deal with us. But I talked to the guy and he's like, oh, Dave, I want to play. And I understand the realtor code of ethics and we watch each other's back. Why doesn't Utah have a form that says, you know, and he talked to me about a buyer agreement in Arizona specifically says you're entering into this agreement, you're going to pay me X amount of dollars. I agree to accept it from the MLS. Here's some things you must do. And each one of those require an initial. If you walk into an open house, you must give them a business card of mine. If you go to a model home, you must tell them immediately that I'm there. And if they say, I'm not going to be involved, leave. And buyers actually initial those things. And so he's going, you ought to have something like that. Well, we probably should be having that conversation and not just signing a buyer agency agreement over to them, correct? Mm-hmm. We're supposed to be explaining what those agreements are supposed to be. And so he actually, very nice guy to work with, and this is several layers up, offered, not what we were hoping for, but offered something because it was proof that our buyer went rogue without our possibility. But the reason I'm bringing this up, I will watch your back. Please watch mine, okay? If somebody calls up complaining about, let's say, Shane. I'm so glad you're back. Yeah, back and healthy. Somebody calls up complaining about, I got your back. I will fight, absolutely, guys, fight, because I truly believe the way you were doing is right, okay?
I've heard some calls before.
Well, you know, anyway, it's possible such a shame, you know, it's the repeated nature, anyway, but I will fight for you. And please do the same thing for us. Our reputation is everything out there, guys, everything. I've heard this last week in doing battle with some people. That same scenario, you're working with a real estate agent. No, I'm not. Okay, I'm not even going to ask you about those 15 pages of MLS printouts. You do realize I'm not obligated to work with anybody if you're not here. Don't play that way. There's builders out there that say if you're not working with a real estate agent, we'll give you a brand new stainless steel appliance package. Are you working with a real estate agent? Okay, you're setting it up for the argument, right? And especially in-house. There's a divisional rule that says you can't offer the availability of a property or quote a price without having it in writing. Okay, that's a listing agreement. And we do a lot of in our at the end wants and needs. We say, you know, I've got this property coming up and it's going to be 300,000 and it's out here, whatever. If you don't have that in writing, guys, you're violating state law. But another thing that you're doing is you're putting some of our people at risk. How many of you want to show a house to somebody that can't afford the house you're showing them? Everything that they can afford now looks bad, right? Okay, so when we have our meeting and our wants and needs, and we say, I've got this thing coming up at 400,000, I'm going to take my $400,000 buyer pre-market and go out and look at it. If you then suddenly turn around and list it at 500,000, what have you done to me? And what has my buyer now done? Okay, so when we're talking wants and needs, if you don't have it in writing, if you don't have a price, please don't quote a price. Please watch my back, and certainly in-house, I've got your back. Please watch ours, okay? Done.
Say, this is my moment.
Sorry, this is
Is it a little sensitive?
it's like, I got a mind of its own today.
I'm a little sensitive too sometimes. It's okay. Good morning, everybody. Like, this is no longer a drug-free workplace because man, that feels good. Okay. So Sean and I were talking yesterday, and we're gonna try to put some fun back in this, Dave. I appreciate that. Sean and I were talking yesterday about, well, it was Shauna and I and Mark. Is Mark in here? I don't see him right off the top of my head. And we were talking about how we're some old sales dogs. We've been doing this since we had to push hard because you're making 3 copies and some of the tactics and things. And we started laughing, and it really brought up the idea that this business is a lot of fun, right? When it's working well, when you're cashing checks and having a good time, man, who loves this job, right? Right? Lee, why have you been doing this for 50 years? Because you hate it?
People's dreams come true. So
Right? We get to have the opportunity to have so much fun in this business when we do the things we need to. And what I got thinking about was, what do I find fun in my job? What do I really enjoy? Some people might think I love making phone calls. That's a lie. I hate lead generation as much as the next cat, okay? What I really, really enjoy is having conversations with people, okay? The coaching conversations that I get to have with my clients, that's the reason I get out of bed and put pants on most days, okay? The recruiting conversations I get to have with folks that are thinking of changing their life. Those are the things I enjoy, right? I like getting yeses. Getting signed agreements feels really, really good. Feels a whole lot better than leaving an appointment with a, well, I should have, could have, maybe they'll sign it next time. Okay, getting to the yes, I love that, right? And the thing I love most of all is cashing big fat checks.
Yeah.
Right? Right? So here's the question. Those are the things I enjoy. So what do I need to do more of the things I enjoy? Have more fun in my business. Anybody got a suggestion? Coach me for a second. If I want to have more conversations, if I want to get to more yeses and cash more checks, what do I need to do? I need to talk to more people. That's actually what I wrote down, Shane, right? Talk to more people, right? And when I say talk to more people, there's a point to this. Does anybody go, I don't know what to say to these people, right? So there's some fear there. Well, I was talking to an agent just the other day, and I didn't get their permission to share this, and so I'm going to use some pretty vague pronouns as not to identify anybody. We were having the same basic conversation of how do you get more what you want. They said, I need to talk to more people. And they said, I'm really nervous about that. And I could see them start to tense and flush in the cheek, and the eyes got a little red. And I'm like, we're going to pop a vein here. I said, okay, so what is the part that's freaking you out? Is it calling the people you know? Is it calling the people you know, or real estate? What part of that equation? And they said, no, I'm not afraid of the phone, and I wasn't attacked by a flip phone back in the 90s, okay? So you're not afraid of the phone, okay? The people you know, none of them have bitten off your hands or anything like that. You're good there. Like, no, I need to talk to them. I'm passionate about talking to them. I said, so it's the business part. They're like, yeah, I don't know how to start that conversation, right? And so the advice that I gave to them was, if you can enjoy yourself calling the people you know just to catch up because it's been too long, and you happen to forget to mention that you're a real estate agent now, but you put them on a smart plan and you call them back in 3 months because you told them they were going to hear from you before you knew it. And maybe that time you bring up what your business adventure is. And I watched this agent light up. They got taller. The color came back to their face. They put a smile like, I can do that. I can do that, right? And so now, as they go out this week to talk to the people in their sphere, just for the sake of talking to the people in their sphere, you think that agent's going to have some fun? A lot more than some of us, right? Think it's going to lead them to the possibility of, having some deeper conversations, getting to a yes, and possibly cashing a big fat check? Yeah. I think it does, right? And so I just want to plant that seed of, what do you enjoy about this business, right? What, you're just looking at this business, what are the things that you think that's gonna be awesome? And then how do we get more of that, okay? I wanna share with something I found on, I think it was Instagram, I don't know, don't blame me, right? And it's this quote, it's not attributed to anybody, if I knew who it was, I would give it to it. It said, when people talk about traveling to the past, they worry about radically changing the present by doing something small, right? We've all seen Back to the Future, you don't make out with your mom. Okay, bad things happen. Okay? The rest of this is, focus, stay with me, people, come on, bring it back. Okay?
Yeah, that was not our fault.
Okay, the rest of it though is, but barely anyone in the present right now really thinks that they can radically change the future by doing something small today, okay? Man, we are in a business, we're in a job where we have to fight and scrape every day to be a part of, right? Let's have some fun doing it. And think about those small things that you can do now to set you up for future success. I'm gonna say it again. It's a pleasure being in business with all of you. Thank you for being here. Let's go have a successful week. Yeah.
The most significant part of that conversation, too, we were talking about, when Mark and I, about calling people, getting conversation with people. And I think sometimes we forget that the most important thing to do first is to build rapport with that person. Build rapport, then go into the business part of it. So thank you for sharing that. Oh, and speaking of happiness and joy, who likes to get paid? Who likes to go to title? Shanice, will you come up? I want to introduce Shanice. She is our partner over at Real Advantage Title. And you have a lot of fans here. I heard Phoenix say, do you have my check?
I have your check, it's in my purse.
Okay, so I just want to ask you, how long have you been in title?
Okay, so I actually started in the real estate side right when I turned 18. So I've done real estate since I was 18 and I'm 31, so 13 years. A long time, I feel like. And then I've done title for 6.5, almost 7 years. Yeah, and I've been with Real Advantage for 5. So I've been with Real Advantage.
And who has closed over at Real Advantage? Raise your hands. Awesome. You have a lot of fans here. You have a lot of fans. So I just wanted to get you in front of everyone. And does anyone have any questions for Shanice?
Any questions?
Any testimony?
Title's so exciting.
Title is exciting. Thank you, Lee.
Yeah, no, I started using Shanice from day one. And it's been awesome. She and her team, and Alex, Maddie, Allison, all of them are just absolutely great. I love that she sends me my settlement statement like 48 hours, sometimes longer before I ever get there, so that I can always review it, talk to my clients. It just means that every closing goes smoothly, and I appreciate that. They've also pulled some nice ones, like being able to close with one of my sellers who was in Mexico and did an e-close across borders, which by the way is not an easy thing to do. They just did another e-close, but that was South Carolina. It's easier. But yeah, they're able to help me every step of the way. It's been great.
That's been my experience too. I figure that a good title company is kind of like a good transmission in my car. I'm really happy when it just does what it does and I don't have to think about it too much. And every time I close with Real Advantage, it's just, here's what you need, and here's your check at the end. It is flawless every single time. And they may be working their butts off in the back, but to my experience, my client's experience, it just works every time.
Shanice, is there anything you need us as agents to be doing, to be looking out for what you guys are doing? Is there anything that we should do to make your job better?
So one thing that my team does do is when we do send over PRs, we list in that PR if there's any judgments or any of that, or we've kind of made it so it's going to be more noticeable, so it kind of stands out at you more. So like sometimes right out the gates, people will ask certain questions, and obviously you won't know them unless we have the full search completed. But I try to highlight if on your guys' behalf, what would help us is if someone's deceased on a property, if you guys bring that to our attention so we know how to watch for vesting. Actually, JP, is that were you gonna go to those listing appointments today? The 2 land ones that need to go to probate that I sent you?
Maybe.
Yeah, okay, so just stuff like that. Dave at the CERM team told me right out the gates that someone was deceased, so I knew to check for vesting right out the gate so that it's not 3 days before closing and someone's like, hey, by the way, Peggy's passed.
I'll go
What do you
with
need to
a
do? Which has happened. So I laughed about it, but it's definitely happened to me.
So I know two things that pretty much, because I've blown it up 2 times at least. Remembering to send the full trust documents. I have a lot of my clients who their real estate is in trust. And the other is making sure she has all the addendums. Number 6, don't forget to send them conversations.
Well, you need all of them?
It kind of helps a little bit if we do have a full executed contract, kind of makes it a little smoother.
Well, we're gonna send out your information in today's email, so if people have any more questions, and thanks for all you do for us.
And I actually have something I want to say. So this is, maybe doesn't come up as often anymore because we're seeing less insane amounts of earnest money. And Real Advantage has done an amazing job. Addison and I told them what we need from them in order to release earnest money for closing in the cases that we're holding more earnest money than your commission. And of all the title companies that we work with, they have done the best job of like giving us advance notice so that we don't have a delay in closing. And again, this is not as common as now as it was 8 months ago when we were seeing like everybody put down 50,000 in earnest money. But just so you know, if you guys can give, like, make sure that your escrow officer knows if we're holding earnest money in excess of commission, so we can you can be proactive about that, and it's not 4 p.m. on the day of closing and they don't have the funds they need to record.
We try to do that as soon as possible.
And they do a great job of
Sometimes
letting us know,
yeah.
but if you, as the agent, if you can keep that in the back of your mind too, so that you can work with your escrow officer, it's very helpful. I don't want any delays.
And you helped me yesterday, so thank you. Thanks for all you do.
Yay, thank you.
All right, we are gonna watch a little, yes, this is it. This is one that we, as a regional leadership meeting, we watched this Friday, and I wanted to bring it back and share it with you.
When I was 7 years old and my sister was just 5 years old, we were playing on top of a bunk bed. I was 2 years older than my sister at the time. I mean, I'm 2 years older than her now, but at the time that meant she had to do everything that I wanted to do, and I wanted to play war. So we were up on top of our bunk beds, and on one side of the bunk bed, I had put out all my G.I. Joe soldiers and weaponry, and on the other side were all my sister's Milos and ponies and ready for a cavalry charge. There are differing accounts of what actually happened that afternoon, but since my sister is not here with us today, let me tell you the true story. Which is my sister is a little bit on the clumsy side. Somehow, without any help or push from her older brother at all, suddenly Amy disappeared off the top of the bunk bed and landed with us crashed on the floor. And I nervously peered over the side of the bed to see what had befallen my fallen sister, and saw that she landed painfully on her hands and knees on all fours on the ground. I was nervous because my parents had charged me with making sure that my sister and I played as safely and as quietly as possible. And seeing as how I had accidentally broken Amy's arm just 1 week before, heroically pushing her out of the way of an oncoming imaginary sniper bullet, for which I have yet to be thanked. I was trying as hard as I could. She didn't even see it coming. I was trying as hard as I could to be on my best behavior, and I saw my sister's face this wail of pain and suffering and surprise, threatening to erupt from her mouth and threatening to wake my parents from the long winter's nap for which they had settled. So I did the only thing my little frantic 7-year-old brain could think to do to avert this tragedy. If you have children, you've seen this hundreds of times before. I said, Amy, wait, don't cry, don't cry. Did you see how you landed? No human lands on all fours like that. Amy, I think this means you're a unicorn. Now that was cheating, because there's nothing in the world my sister would want more than not to be Amy the hurt 5-year-old little sister, but Amy the special unicorn. Of course, this was an option that was open to her brain at no point in the past. And you could see on my poor, manipulated sister's face conflict, as her little brain attempted to devote resources to feeling the pain and suffering surprise she just experienced, or contemplating her newfound identity as a unicorn. and let her wine out. Instead of crying, instead of ceasing our play, instead of waking my parents with all the negative consequences that would have ensued for me. Instead, a smile spread across her face, and she scrambled right back up onto the bunk bed with all the grace of a baby unicorn. With one broken leg. At this tender age of just 5 and 7, we had no idea at the time was something that was going to be at the vanguard of a scientific revolution occurring 2 decades later in the way that we look at the human brain. What we had stumbled across is something called positive psychology, which is the reason that I'm here today and the reason that I wake up every morning. When I first started talking about this research outside of academia, out with companies and schools, the very first thing they said to never do is to start your talk with a graph. The very first thing I wanted to do is start my talk with a graph. This graph looks boring, but this graph is the reason that I get excited and wake up every morning. And this graph doesn't even mean anything, it's fake data. What we found is, if I got this data back studying you here in the room, I would be thrilled because there's very clearly a trend that's going on there, and that means that I can get published, which is all that really matters. The fact that there's one weird red dot that's up above the curve, there's one weird in the room, you know who you are, I saw you earlier. That's no problem. That's no problem, as most of you know, because I can just delete that dot. I can delete that dot because that's clearly a measurement error. And we know that's a measurement error because it's messing up my data. So one of the very first things we teach people in economics and statistics and business and psychology courses is how in a statistically valid way do we eliminate the weirdos? How do we eliminate the outliers? So that we can find the line of best fit, which is fantastic if I'm trying to find out how many Advil the average person should be taking. 2, but if I'm interested in potential, if I'm interested in your potential or for happiness or productivity or energy or creativity, what we're doing is we're creating the cult of the average with science. If I ask a question like how fast can a child learn how to read in a classroom, scientists change the answer to how fast does the average child learn how to read in that classroom? And then we tailor the class right towards the average. Now, if you fall below the average on this curve, then psychologists get thrilled because that means you're either depressed or you have disorder or hopefully both. Our business model is if you come into a therapy session with one problem, we want to make sure you leave knowing you have 10. So you keep coming back over and over again. You go back with your child if necessary, but eventually what we want to do is to make you normal again. But normal is merely average. And what I posit and what positive psychology posits is that if we study what is merely average, we will remain merely average. That instead of deleting those positive outliers, what I intentionally do is come into a population like this one and says why. Why is it that some of you are so high above the curve in terms of your intellectual ability, athletic ability, musical ability, creativity, energy levels, your resiliency in the face of challenge, your sense of humor, whatever it is, instead of deleting you, what I want to do is study you. Because maybe we can glean information, not just how to move people up to the average, but how we can move the entire average up in our companies and schools worldwide. The reason this graph is important to me is when I turn on the news, it seems like the majority of the information is not positive. In fact, it's negative. Most of it's about murder, corruption, diseases, natural disasters, and very quickly, my brain starts to think that's the accurate ratio of negative to positive in the world. What that's doing is creating something called the medical school syndrome, which if you know people who have been to medical school during the first year of medical training, as you read through a list of all the symptoms and diseases that could happen, suddenly you realize you have all of them. I have a brother-in-law named Bobo, which is a whole nother story. Bobo, Bobo called me on the phone from Yale Medical School. And Bobo said, Sean, I have leprosy. Which even at Yale is extraordinarily rare. But I had no idea how to console poor Bobo because he had just gotten over an entire week of menopause. See, what we're finding is not necessarily the reality that shapes us, but the lens to which your brain views the world shapes your reality. If we can change the lens, not only can we change your happiness, we can change every single educational business outcome at the same time. When I applied to Harvard, I applied on a dare. I didn't expect to get in, and my family had no money for college. When I got a military scholarship 2 weeks later, they allowed me to go. Suddenly something wasn't even a possibility became a reality. When I went there, I assumed everyone else would see it as a privilege as well, that they'd be excited to be there. Even if you're in a classroom full of people smarter than you, you'd be happy just to be in that classroom, which is what I felt. But what I found there is while some people experienced that, when I graduated after my 4 years and then spent the next 8 years living in the dorms with the students, Harvard asked me to, wasn't that guy. But what happened, I was an officer at Harvard and counseled students through the difficult 4 years. And what I found in my research, my teaching is that these students, no matter how happy they were with the original success of getting into the school, 2 weeks later, their brains were focused not on the privilege of being there, nor on their philosophy or their physics. The brain was focused on the competition, the workload, the hassles, the stresses, the complaints. When I first went in there, I walked into the freshman dining hall, which is where my friends from Waco, Texas, which is where I grew up. I know some of you have heard of it. When they come to visit me, they look around, they say, this freshman dining hall looks like something out of Hogwarts from the movie Harry Potter, which it does. This is Hogwarts from the movie Harry Potter, and that's Harvard. When they see this, they say, Sean, why do you waste your time studying happiness at Harvard? Seriously, what does a Harvard student possibly have to be unhappy about? Embedded within that question is the key to understanding the science of happiness. Because what that question assumes is that our external world is predictive of our happiness levels. When in reality, if I know everything about your external world, I can only predict 10% of your long-term happiness. 90% of your long-term happiness is predicted not by the external world, but by the way your brain processes the world. And if we change it, if we change our formula for happiness and success, what we can do is change the way that we can then affect reality. What we found is that only 25% of job successes are predicted by IQ. 75% of job successes are predicted by your optimism levels, your social support, and your ability to see stress as a challenge instead of as a threat. I talked to a boarding school up in New England, probably the most prestigious boarding school, and they said, we already know that. So every year, instead of just teaching our students, we also have a wellness week, and we're so excited. Monday night, we have the world's leading expert coming in to speak about adolescent depression. Tuesday night is school violence and bullying. Wednesday night's eating disorders. Thursday night's the list of drug use. And Friday night, we're trying to decide between risky sex or happiness. I said that's most people's Friday nights. Which I'm glad you liked, but they did not like that at all. Silence. I said, I'd be happy to speak at your school, but just, that's not a wellness week. That's a sickness week. What you've done is you've outlined all the negative things that can happen, but not talked about the positive. The absence of disease is not health. Here's how we get to health. We need to reverse the formula for happiness and success. In the past 3 years, I've traveled to 45 different countries, working with schools and companies in the midst of an economic downturn. And what I found is that most companies and schools follow a formula for success, which is this: if I work harder, I'll be more successful. And if I'm more successful, then I'll be happier. That undergirds most of our parenting styles, our managing styles, the way that we motivate our behavior. And the problem is, it's scientifically broken and backwards for 2 reasons. First, every time your brain has a success, you just change the goalpost of what success looked like. You got good grades, now you have to get better grades. You got into good school, now you have to get better school. You got a good job, now you have to get a better job. You hit your sales target, we're going to change your sales target. And if happiness is on the opposite side of success, your brain never gets there. What we've done is we pushed happiness over the cognitive horizon as a society. And that's because we think we have to be successful, then we'll be happier. But the real problem is our brains work in the opposite order. If you can raise somebody's level of positivity in the present, then their brain experiences what we now call a happiness advantage, which is your brain at positive performs significantly better than it does at negative, neutral, stress. Your intelligence rises, your creativity rises, your energy levels rise. In fact, what we found is that every single business outcome improves. Your brain at positive is 31% more productive than your brain at negative, neutral, or stress. You're 37% better at sales. Doctors are 19% faster and more accurate at coming up with the correct diagnosis with positive instead of negative, neutral, or stress, which means we can reverse the formula. If we can find a way of becoming positive in the present, then our brains work even more successfully as we're able to work harder, faster, and more intelligently. What we need to be able to do is to reverse this formula so we can start to see what our brains are actually capable of. Because dopamine, which floods into your system when you're positive, has 2 functions. Not only does it make you happier, it turns on all the learning centers in your brain, allowing you to adapt to the world in a different way. We found that there are ways you can train your brain to be able to become more positive. In just a 2-minute span of time, done for 21 days in a row, we can actually rewire your brain, allowing your brain to actually work more optimistically and more successfully. We've done these things in research now in every single company that I've worked with, getting them to write down 3 new things that they're grateful for 21 days in a row, 3 new things each day. And at the end of it, their brain starts to retain a pattern of scanning the world, not for the negative, but for the positive first. Journaling about 1 positive experience you've had over the past 24 hours allows your brain to relive it. Exercise teaches your brain that your behavior matters. We find that meditation allows your brain to get over the cultural ADHD that we've been creating by trying to do multiple tasks at once, allows our brains to focus on the task at hand. And finally, random acts of kindness or conscious acts of kindness. We get people, when they open up their inbox, to write 1 positive email, praising or thanking somebody in their social support network. And by doing these activities, and by training your brain, just like we train our bodies, what we found is we can reverse the formula for happiness and success. And in doing so, not only create ripples of positivity, but create a real revolution. Thank you very much.
So I hope you enjoyed that. We sure did at our meeting. And this gentleman is the keynote speaker for Family Reunion. We'll be running it here, streaming it here too for those
Don't
staying.
get your tickets yet, so if you.
That book, The Happiness Advantage, is
Is it
fantastic.
great?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Something for us to read. So we just wanted to share that. So thank you. And very much like the miracle morning there. Kimber, do you want to come up and talk about this class? And then Mike, we've got training right after this.
Okay, awesome. So let me just add a comment. Being new to this office, obviously not new to all the leaders here, this office is so dynamic. And it's easier for people to see that aren't here every day. And so I just need to make that comment. This office is dynamic. The leaders here, the teams here, the agents here, you guys are amazing.
A
I'm
specific
excited.
team is very dynamic.
No.
Yeah.
Thanks. So, yes, and what I think is so awesome is that as soon as I had the opportunity from Boyd to start working with your office, Josh is the first one that reached out to me and said, hey, I know that you have a lot of value to add with our tools and technology, and I want to be able to share the proven success of our team in that. How can we pair those together? And so next week when we teach, that's really the objective, is all of those like tap into, here's the Stern team's follow-up, here's how they execute an 8x8, here's how they execute a long-term follow-up, and then integrate that into and have available in command. So if you guys are going to plug into that, that it's easy button, simple button is what my focus is, because all the creation is not where we want to spend our time as an agent, right? We want to spend all of our time prospecting, or as much as possible, right? So that's the focus of this. Please come exclusive.
Josh is giving it all away to all of us.
Yes.
And this is also a class, if you know of agents outside of our office, we're inviting recruits to this class. And it's so valuable and powerful, and I'm grateful for you and Josh.
Yeah.
So next Wednesday, 11 to 1, right?
Can we get let's send out the Eventbrite link so that agents can send it to their friends and their co-agents and stuff like that.
Thank you.
This class will, it's not, there's no charge for it, but it will sell out. There's not enough, we will sell.
Yes.
Is there a Zoom link to it also if I can't make it in
Are
person?
we zooming it?
We can.
Yeah, because I would want to, but I would feel.
Yeah, just to provide that, for
Okay.
sure. And Carrie, did you have a question? No, I just. Oh, you okay? Everybody wants to.
And Zoom and record it, so that.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, we're here anyway, right? Push record.
Lynette?
Kimber, you have a class tomorrow too, right?
Oh, yeah,
You wanna
yeah,
talk
so
about that?
tomorrow we're gonna be talking about social media, so again, my focus is trying to make things simple, so I just taught it in South Valley last week, so you guys leave with your content calendar and actual templates that are done, so you can keep using them, and you'll have the actual link, so it's not like the theory of social media. We've all been to that class 7 times, right? I know I have. Little bit more implementable right immediately, so, yeah.
We thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so see you tomorrow at 11.
Tomorrow at 11.
Yeah, hey, one other thing to add on that, if you guys have not read the MREA and specifically the lead generation model within the MREA, that would be a great, I don't know, probably 40 or 50 pages to look at before you came into that class, because that's essentially what Josh is teaching out, and then we're gonna throw in Kimber's technology through command. So just to give you guys a heads up on that.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? Go back to training calendar.
Training calendar.
There we go. All right, so we have our Miracle Morning Book Club right after this, 12 to 12:30. And then Phoenix is hosting the 30 Under 30 Live. Is that in here? Very cool. I guess it was 25 under 20, is that what it was? Now
Yeah. We raised the.
We raised it. When is it gonna be?
Can you raise it to like 40?
I was gonna say, when is it gonna be 50 or 39 and then? All right, we already talked about Kimber's social media tomorrow, and then Sean's doing his listings that he does every week from 1 to 2 in here as well. Thursday, a bunch of Zoom stuff there, the first two, and then real estate fundamentals, I believe here in class. And then we have our Capper Mastermind in here from 12 to 1. That is by invite only. Wendy's got her new associate class on Friday, and then Scott Leroy Marketing on Zoom next Monday on opportunities with your sales pipeline. So, yes.
Can I pop in? Sorry.
Yep.
For the 4th week of new associate training, I am going to be out of town, so if anybody needs to do that 4th week, just make a one-on-one appointment with me and we can go over whatever you need.
Cool. Two other things as I'm thinking about it. Miracle Morning next month, we're gonna have Mona Stevens in here. She was supposed to start on the 15th. It's now the 22nd. We'll go 4 consecutive weeks. Okay. So one plug there. The other plug is family reunion is 2 weeks away, less than 2 weeks. So I haven't seen the agenda come out, but for those of you who are going to family reunion, people look on that agenda and start mapping out what and where you want to go and be purposeful about it.
Breakout's got announced this morning.
Oh, good.
Good timing. So
And we're gonna have, with everyone going to family reunion, we're gonna meet in here after team meeting next week to talk about best practices there, and we'll have some people who know what to do and what not to do when you're there. So.
Love it, yeah.
We'll send that, yeah, absolutely.
Cool, that's all I got.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
All right, Erica, would you come up? You are gonna talk just for a couple of minutes about who we helped last year, pay down cares.
So I'm here with my Sugar House Chamber of Commerce hat on, and this is Derek. He owns Oleo Skin and Beard Company here in Sugar House. They're a local Sugar House business. He's also treasurer of the chamber, and I'm one of the co-chairs. So, and last year, all of you who donated to our Sugar House Cares Fund, part of that money was granted to the chamber to help our local businesses who are still trying to come out of the impact of COVID. And this has made a huge difference for us because we've had a video program going on since we were trying to figure out even how to film and edit ourselves at home around the dining room table to directly help the businesses who are suffering so much with the coming out of the quarantines and just reopening. And that program made a huge difference. In fact, you were one of the businesses.
We were actually the second business that you guys
Yeah.
came to film.
I
They said it
edited
was
your video.
completely amateur hour, but I assure you it's not. You can go to the Sugar House Chambers YouTube page and actually see all of these 2 years worth of videos. So you can kind of see where that money that you guys helped raise and donate to the Sugar House Chamber is going. And I would just like to mention, we have the most vibrant small business community in the state right here in Sugar House. Huge selling point for you guys, right? So if there's anything you need, we've got your backs too, as the chamber and the council here in Sugar House. So make sure you're reaching out to us. You're all entrepreneurs, so we are here for you and to help support your businesses.
So to show our thanks for the money that you donated last year, which is going to fund 20 of these videos to be professionally produced versus my hack, we have both a little token of our appreciation here.
Spencer, Jack, do you guys want to come up and accept this?
Wow. This is with special recognition to the office for 2022, as well as a complimentary honorary membership to the chamber for the coming year. And we just really appreciate all that you did last year. Look forward to partnering with you, and in the future, we'll bring some window cleans by to show that you have a chamber membership. And just thank you for all that you've done to help this community. So I love that.
This is something that we've really been focused on, and we've also been fortunate enough in our business that we were able to remain open basically the entire time. We've been able to remain profitable. would we be able to pay for our membership and gift that free membership to a business who maybe can't afford the membership fee for the year?
Absolutely. I know that there are a few that it is a hardship, and that would be a wonderful gift to pass on.
What do you guys think? Sorry, I just like threw it out there.
Yes, let's do it.
Sprung it on you, okay?
I liked it. Nothing like being put on the spot, right?
Can't say no now.
That's fine, that's fine.
Okay, I had that thought.
I think that's a great
I think
idea.
it's a valuable organization that we should support, and we have the ability to do that. So,
Thank you very much. And this video is the first one that was filmed with the funds that all of you donated to us. So enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. That's amazing.
The different feel of the house and the energy that exists here. Often we hear the word cozy. That's probably one of the best ways to describe the feeling that you'll receive when you enter into the house of Mindful Living Wellness Center.
Hello, I'm Erica Wiggins with the Sugar House Chamber and Community Alliance, and today we're at Mindful Living Wellness Center, right on 1100 East. And this is easily one of the most tranquil, welcoming businesses I've ever stepped into. We're going to be speaking with the owner, Misty, today, and she'll tell you all about her inspiration to open this beautiful space. Today's video is sponsored by KW Cares, the charitable arm of Keller Williams, Salt Lake City.
I'm Misty Burrell with Mindful Living Wellness Center. We opened in February 2020, and we were open for about 3 weeks before we had to shut down. And we just have been creative through the quarantine and able to stick around, and we were able to open up last November, and it's just been going strong ever since, and we're excited to still be here. We're located in the heart of Sugar House at 1592 South, 1100 East, and just kind of cornered between 2100 South and 9th and 9th. It's a wonderful place to come and receive your wellness. So here at Mindful Living Wellness Center, we believe in full health healing. Not only do we offer massage therapy and facials, but an array of services, including float therapy and infrared and meditation, and many classes offering education, including yoga and sound therapy. And this is what sets us apart from many other places like us. And we're proud of that. When I found the building to call home for Mindful Living Wellness Center, there was definitely a different energy that existed in this house. And I'm really excited to be able to share it with the community and be able to provide that sense of home. 12 years ago, I was assaulted by somebody very close to me, and obviously caused a lot of anxiety in my life and other different needs for therapy, and ultimately a diagnosis of PTSD. Something I learned through my therapies and that healing journey was a basis of mindfulness and truly learning to feel from within and be able to take that strength back and truly empower my own self. And this is what inspired Mindful Living Wellness Center to come to be. It's more than self-care, it's empowered healthcare. We're here for all those seeking peace and seeking restoration and relief from their physical ailments. We often find people that come here to find relief from insomnia or physical ailments and anxiety, and of course PTSD. We want everybody to know that we are a safe place. We welcome all walks of life. We're so grateful to be here and offer wellness to all. When you come in, you can expect to be fully taken care of. We provide everything for you. So if you're coming in for a relax and rejuve package, that includes our 60-minute massage and a 60-minute float. We've got you covered, even to the robe that takes you between the sessions. We have towels, we have all the soaps and lotions that you'll need. So truly, come as you are. And if you're coming in for a class for yoga, we provide the mats and all the props. And we definitely have all of our highest sanitation between services. In fact, if you're booking one of our services, you'll notice there's a half an hour between each service, and that is to allow for proper cleaning and sanitation between all services. So you can feel at peace and rest assured that you're in a safe place for cleanliness and the way you feel. It's more than self-care, it's empowered healthcare. I'm Misty Burrell with Mindful Living Wellness Center, and we are a Sugar House business.
Be sure to follow these folks on social media, and a huge shout out to all the volunteers who make the Sugar House Strong video program possible.
Oh, I think that
I
was
love
a
that.
We'll send out in today's email, sharing that with your database, your clients and friends would be really amazing. All right, before we go to wants and needs, Linda?
Well, I don't know how I'm gonna follow that up.
Give away a free.
I mean, I was thinking like, maybe I'd go after Coach Steve and talk about big fat checks, but like, I mean, okay. So the luxury learning series is available to all agents, whether or not you are qualified to be in the KW luxury division. So this Friday at 11 a.m., it's just a half an hour. It's from 11 to 11:30. We're going to be watching the luxury learning series, and it is KW International's series that they do once a month to make sure that you guys understand what tools are available to you as an agent that secures a luxury listing or is working with a luxury client.
Yep. And to be a luxury agent, two properties
12 over $1 million in a 12-month period.
And this is going to be ongoing the second Friday of every month. We didn't get it on the training calendar, but we will from here on out.
Yep.
And that's free in 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Learn more
free,
about
30
luxury.
minutes of your time, and there's some really cool ideas out there. So if you can make some time, come in and join.
And I also want to point out, so you can earn into the luxury program now. You no longer have to pay to be a member, which is great. And even if you're not a member, if you take a luxury listing, a listing that's above the threshold, you do qualify for the luxury marketing collateral.
Yes.
So let us know if you take a listing that's in Salt Lake County, it's $1 million. In Summit
$1 million
County,
is
it's
a floor.
yeah. So let us know, because we would love to empower you with that. They're beautiful marketing pieces that you qualify for. So even if you haven't quite sold the 2 in 12 months, if you're taking one, let's get you that material.
Yeah, and we're working on some cool stuff with the office that will be available to you. So when you take that luxury listing, the office will have everything ready to go for you. So you can just go and enjoy that branding without having to order it yourself.
Super exciting. Thank you for heading this up. Yep. Appreciate it.
And if you feel like you've qualified for luxury, but you haven't been invited in yet, let me know. I can also request some exceptions through the region.
It's close.
Some things are, we've had a few agents that listed a property at a little over $1 million, and then the final sales price was like $999, $999. And so it didn't trigger the qualification, but I can request for it to count for you. So like just little things like that.
If you're within one penny.
If you're even if you're within like I think $1,000, like let's get you qualified, because I would love for as many of our agents as possible to be part of that program.
It's exciting.
It's free, it's really cool. Anyway.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's do wants and needs and get you out of here to work.